Hey, what's up everybody? Today I'm going to show you how to take some older golf clubs that you may have laying around in your garage or your basement, and with a few simple tools and a couple small measurements and supplies, you'll be able to cut them down for your child that may be interested in the game of golf. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say that you should purchase junior golf clubs, which is great if your junior is going to be playing a lot of golf. But if you're not sure about it and you have extra clubs laying around, this is definitely a quick and simple way to figure out whether they love the game or not. So the first thing you need to do is you need to take a measurement of your junior. In this case, this was my 13-year-old son, and I wrote down a couple things here. This is his overall height. That is his measurement from his wrist to the floor. Now, being a right-handed golfer, you take the measurement of the left wrist, and then the opposite would happen if he was a left-handed golfer. It would take a measurement of the right wrist. And then actually with this measuring tool that I have from GolfWorks that I've had for years and years and years, it also will help me determine what the standard 5-iron length should be and wood. It actually gives you men's lengths and women's, and with him being just about 5 foot, I'm going to go with the women's lengths. I may alter the lengths a little bit, but not much. And you can also find charts online that'll help you with correct lengths. So this is the length chart that would have been recommended, with his wrist being 29 inches to the floor at 35.5 inches being a 5-iron. But we all know that our kids grow a little bit, so I'm going to make it about a ½ inch longer than what's recommended, and he should have no problem swinging. He's pretty athletic to begin with. So the first thing that we need to do is determine what clubs we're going to use. Most of the clubs I have here are short irons, 5-iron being the longest. Then we're going to go with a 7-iron, 8-iron, and a pitching wedge. They don't necessarily all have to match, just as long as you have standard length irons to start with, so you know what your overall length is. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take, I tend to use a hooked nose blade. Makes it easier to get underneath the grips and peel the grips off. So that's the very first thing we're going to have to do, is we're going to have to remove the grips from the shafts. Okay, so now we're inside a very messy shed, but this is where my voice is at the current moment. So what I do is that I have a rubber block that actually secures the shaft, and then you simply put it in your benchtop vise, lock it down so it can't move on you. And what you're going to do here is, once I pick up the knife I just dropped, is you take your hook end, place it just under the beginning of the grip, and you pull. Go all the way to the end, pull it off, and then hopefully, if the grip isn't too rotted, which these are, they generally will come right off, but you may have to work it a little bit. Here it goes. They can get a little messy. Once you get it started, you take it, pull it off in pieces if you have to, but eventually it will come off. I'm going to change hands here because I'm a lefty. So just bear with me 1 second, guys. Got a tight area to work here. Okay, so I got it started. As you can see, coming off in pieces. Very, very common for old grips to do that. You just got to work with it and keep working. Alright, so I'm going to do the other 4 grips, and I'll be back once they're all finished. And just to demonstrate how easy it is to remove a grip, my 13-year-old just took the last grip off. Now, a lot of people, if it's their personal grips, they'll actually take a knife, and a straight edge knife, and scrape the tape off. Again, it's a junior set of clubs. You don't know how serious the kid's going to get. And as long as it's not giant clumps of tape, it's one layer of tape, it's not going to make that big of a deal if you leave the tape on or remove it. In this case, since I am using a junior grip, I'll just take a measurement real quick and see, make sure that the tape doesn't exceed the length, which it does, so I am going to have to peel it back a little bit. Other than that, I would leave the tape on there just to make the job a little bit faster. So I'm going to peel back the tape and be right back. Alright, so I actually started peeling this back, but then thought about it for a second and said to myself, hey, you know what? I don't need to do that because we need to still measure these and take the extra length off of the butt end, which is where you always take length off of to shorten a golf club. Never the tip. Well, of course, you have the club head actually epoxied to the shaft, and that'd be just a big hassle. Not to mention when you do take length off of the tip instead of the butt end, you are altering the flex of the shaft. So always take length off the butt end of the grip. Okay, so this is the part where I would refer to that chart that I had made earlier. You can see here the lighting's going to get kind of crummy right now because of the fact that we're inside the shed, because you can hear it's raining. But this is the pitching wedge, and all you really simply need is a yardstick to do this, flat surface, and a Sharpie marker to start with. This is the pitching wedge, and I am going to go with 33.5 inches here. So I would locate 33.5 inches on the yardstick and make my mark. Let's see if I can get this done here. So with the club head relatively flat on the ground, obviously if I was in a workshop it'd be a little bit more exact than this, but so 33.5 inches. It's going to be, I'm going to make a rough mark real quick. Go up there. Okay, so 33.5 inches. And then this is where you're going to use another very simple tool, and it's a pipe cutter. These pipe cutters are very easy to use. They got dials on them, so you can adjust the pipe cutter. It's really starting to rain. And I will put it on the shaft and show you. Okay, so now I have the golf club back in the vise using the same block that I used to change the grip. I have the pipe cutter installed onto the shaft. Very, very simple to use. Just tighten it down, and you're going to spin it, making sure it stays on your mark, which is it's a little bit under. It's not a big deal, as long as it doesn't start spiraling down the shaft. And then tighten it a little bit more as you start spinning it, and a little bit more. Basically what you're doing, you're just cutting a groove into the shaft, and it eventually will break through. It's pretty thin-walled steel shafts on all shafts that you buy. You can hear it cracking a little bit, and there it goes. Comes off that easy. And now my golf club should be right at 33.5 inches. Let's check it out. And there you have it, 33.5 inches. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to complete the rest of the shafts by cutting them down, and when I get back to the regripping portion of it, I will show you guys. Okay, so we have got them cut down now. It's a 5-iron, 7-iron, 8-iron pitching wedge. That just happens to be the golf clubs I had laying around that he's going to learn on and hopefully progress. And if he does progress, then I will look into building him a full set of irons, because I do actually have a set of heads for a full set of irons. But anyways, so next step after this, after you've cut them down, again, if you want to strip the tape off, you can. It's not necessary. It's not a huge deal. We're going to move on now with regripping these clubs and basically finishing them. Okay, so now it's time to regrip your clubs. Now this is the portion of this little, I guess, tutorial, you can call it, that everybody can pay attention to if you want to. Hopefully you've been paying attention to the entire thing. But this is something that everybody can do on their own golf clubs if they choose to do so. It's certainly not rocket science, and the more you do it, the faster it becomes for you. So we are going to regrip this golf club. Actually, we're going to regrip all of them, but I'm going to show you guys how to do this one. So the first thing you want to do is put your golf club back into the block and into your bench vise. Snug it down. What I like to do sometimes is try to line the golf club head up so it looks almost like it's at address on the ground. a huge thing, but it certainly makes it easier to line up your grip straight when you put it on. So, what do you need? You need your brand new grip. That's the first thing you need. Second thing you need is you need a roll of grip tape. Very easy to find. You can probably even get this at a Home Depot. It's kind of like carpet tape. This one is made by Intertape, and I did get that probably from Golfsmith. A pair of scissors, whether they're your kid's scissors from kindergarten or regular pair of scissors or even a straight edge blade, it'll work. A golf tee. A golf tee, you say what? Yeah, a golf tee is going to help you too. So that's going to help us put the grip on. And if you want to, I got to clean out this bucket, but a bucket just below where you're going to put the grip on, because you're going to use, my preferred chemical is mineral spirits. It evaporates very quickly, allows you to use your clubs probably within an hour of putting your grips on. Some guys will use like WD-40 or an oil-based type of solvent, and it takes forever for the stuff to dry. So mineral spirits, in my opinion, is the way to go. I've been doing this probably for 20 years. So let's get this done. So the first thing you do once you get it inside the shaft is take a quick measurement. What I'll do is, there's usually a double line. That's your cap. That's a solid piece of rubber right there. So below that line will give you more or less a truer length of your grip. So I have an idea. You can actually mark it if you want to. I know it's right there just above that step in the shaft. So I'm going to basically install my grip tape to about that point right there. Okay, so now I have the tape on the shaft. Like I said, just below that, or just above the step, because I know that's where my grip is going to end. I put one edge of the grip tape on the shaft. I am probably about, call it, I don't know, what do you call it, quarter inch or less over the end of the shaft. You're going to want to do that because you're going to want to fold it down inside the end of the shaft to kind of help keep moisture out. Another thing that I've done is I've also put a slit in the tape, because it's going to help me wrap that tape around the shaft much easier. So as you wrap that tape around, smooth it out on the back side. Okay, now don't tape it over on the other edge of the tape yet until you've peeled back the tape. Now this is going to be stubborn, of course, because I'm doing the video. Hold this for me, just like that. Sometimes the tape can be a little bit stubborn, especially if you got something on the shaft itself. Let's see if I can start it somewhere else. Or I'm just going to shorten this tape a little bit and get a better adhesion. Hopefully get it started. There we go. Normally it's not this much of a struggle to get tape started, but Murphy's Law says it's going to be a problem because you're doing a video, so. Okay, so I got the tape started. Alright, so I'm going to peel it back like this. Back on there. Now I'm going to fold it over on itself, like so. Smooth it out best you can. It's not going to always lay down perfectly flat. That's not a problem. It's still going to work. Peel your backing away. And you take this end here, close it in, and push it down the shaft. Okay, so next step will be installing the grip. So you can do one of two things. Your grip will have a hole in the end, right there. Right, so you can either hold your thumb over it, or not your thumb, but your pointer finger over it, or you can install a T into it, one way or the other. It's not a huge deal. Sometimes I prefer just put my finger over it, which is what I'm going to show you anyway. So you know what? Scrap that idea of the whole T thing. We're not going to use it. But anyways, so you got your hole there. If you don't cover it, it's going to leak out. So put your finger over it. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your mineral spirits. Again, it'd be super helpful if you had a funnel, but if you don't, you just be careful. Take your mineral spirits, pour down inside your grip. You don't have to fill it up more than probably about a third of the way. Once you think you're there, put your mineral spirits out of the way so you don't dump it over. Put your thumb over the open end, give it a good shake. Now your